Our current system needs constant reinforcement in order to have a chance of being taken seriously. Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever watched the news and listened to the interview and statements from your government officials and just laughed or scoffed? Have you ever gotten so far beyond frustrated at the way the conversation is framed? Isn't it bad enough that the statements made are bullshit propaganda speak, but then worse again because of the lack of what is being said on the very topic being explored? Kinda like stabbing you with a knife and then twisting it. What you promised is never what you get, and what you get is worse than you could have imagined. Is it act or omission? Is it psychopathy or a lack of wisdom? Look at the fact that marijuana constituents have been proven to save lives non-invasively and permanently remove skin cancers, stop seizures in their tracks in less than a minute, and minimize seizures to a third in frequency for sufferers. Governments have been dragging their feet on legalizing this medicine for the longest time, and thwarting any efforts to move forward on this. Their idea? Only legalize when they have created a synthetic version of the constituents in order that their pharmaceutical cartels can patent this and ensure that only they can provide this, make enormous profits, and have anyone else put in a cage. Not only this, but wait until down the track they finally release that this synthetic version is not close to being as effective as the natural version. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if it had all of the hidden carcinogenic nasties that all of their other products have. Look at the fact that tobacco companies and pharmaceutical companies have been given the monopoly on providing nicotine. As well as selling you the poisons, they also sell you the so-called antidote, and they are the sole legal arbiter of this process. The self-determination is left to a cold turkey quitting, and of course, because how in the world could they possibly control that? This may not seem like a problem, you might think, but for people who are quitting smoking and have opted to use vaping as a method of quitting smoking in places like Queensland, Australia, this liquid nicotine is illegal to possess and carries a $9,000 fine. In other places, there is a propaganda campaign to discredit this method of quitting smoking cigarettes, which is lobbied by the tobacco and pharmaceutical companies. Let's not forget that members of government aren't scientists, and often all that bright either. So when they get behind this push from the corporations, this is because it is politically advantageous for them, or because they have been paid off. Maybe this is just me, but do you realize that the government is not your friend? Corporations are not your friend. Are you even friends with your neighbours? Look at the way that society has become in the social sense. We are greedy and selfish and irresponsible. No, really, think about it. And be honest with yourself for a moment. I'm speaking to you, the listener. Try not to be offended at this. Use it as a thought experiment. How many times have you walked past a homeless person and done and said nothing, or told them you don't have any cash? How many times have you broken your promises or agreements with your friends and family and acquaintances? Better yet, how often have you done this to yourself? How often do we use the benefit of doubt to wiggle our way out of difficult or uncomfortable circumstances? How often do we say one thing when we mean another? How often do we see wrong things happening and walk right past and think surely someone else will handle it? That's the police's job. I'll just get in trouble. Yeah, that's it. I'm making the smart decision. How often do we break off a relationship because it's going through a difficult stage and it's easier just to start again with someone new? I don't need this. That person should sort themselves out. It's their responsibility. I can't be expected to help everyone with their issues, you know. How often do we help people? And if we do, is it that grand a gesture? Does that make us moral superiors to anyone else? Does that mean that we have moral credit that can be used when we don't feel like helping another person? I pay money to charities monthly, so don't tell me about responsibility. How often do we ask people how they are going as a rhetorical question? How often do we say, take care of your family first, with no intention of following up on that? How often do we really feel like we are doing the best for our family? How often do we feel like we are doing the best for ourselves? Let's be clear in our understanding here. Politicians who greenlight the legislative decisions for how society is run are not brought up in a Buddhist monastery. They do not make it to where they are by being morally enlightened. Think deeply about this for a moment. Maybe you can relate by a movie you have seen, or a family friend's experience. When you have a traumatic experience in your life, so much so that you feel your only way forward is to help other people stay out of that situation. This is indeed a very moral and righteous path to follow. But how many people like that join the government to help people? It's not one's first choice, is it? Why is that? Our power comes from direct human engagement and touching people's lives, and we naturally know that, don't we? What is he getting at? I found an interesting quote magneted on my partner's parents' fridge. Unfortunately, I could not find the author. It reads, "Management left to its own devices simply doesn't give a damn what happens to people. Whatever concern management appears to have in this area is based upon strategic or public relationships assessments. It is tactical, not human. I say this with no bitterness, not as an accusation, but as a fact. The job of management is to make money. If a dash of humanitarianism can contribute to that end, fine. If not, forget it. My job is not to tell you what to think or believe. That's obviously your responsibility and decision to make about what lens to view the world through. My interest is in lending you a few different pairs of glasses to try on. I replaced my favourite pair of gas station sunglasses the other weekend, and when I put the new pair on after so long of putting up with the scratched and weathered pair, I could not believe how clear the world appeared through them. It was refreshing.